Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to my channel. My name is Sue and Chet is Sue, a channel where we talk about things that we really need to talk about as families, with our children, our parents, and the society as a whole. I need to apologize that I was off radar for a while. You know, as parents, there's a lot of things that we do, and the exams are upon us. So, yeah. There was just a lot that I needed to do, but I'm back, and let's get to it. Why do narcissists and toxic people cheat, right? When a child is born, it starts in the childhood. Everything that's good or bad starts in the childhood, right? Every child or human being that's born has needs, right? There's a physiological need, there's a psychological need, there's safety need, love and belonging, self-esteem. All these needs to be taken care of by the parents or the guardians, right? The physiological needs, it's for water, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, you know, and things that will have this child or this human being feel safe, that I've got food, I've got clothing, I've got water to drink, I can sleep well in a bed, and I'm okay, right? And then the safety needs, right? Personal security, resources. If I go to school, I've got books, I've got a transport to take me to school. I'm not walking in some dark, dingy street. I'm 10 years old and I'm crossing the road that there's busy traffic, right? I've got my mom or my dad or my uncle or whoever that's gonna help me to cross the road, right? Love and belonging, right? When a child comes to you, that need needs to be taken care of. I hug them when they feel sad. We laugh together. My children have friends. They belong somewhere, a sense of belonging, right? If these needs are not taken care of, right, in childhood, for an example, if a child comes to you and said, "Mom, Dad, I feel bad. I feel horrible because I was bullied at school or whatever," right? And you take time to sit down and soothe that child. The child needs, they learn empathy, right? That when somebody feels sad, um, or if I feel sad, my parents take time to do what? To soothe me and to make me understand and to make me feel better, right? If that need is not taken care of by parents, they ignore the child, or they tell the child to grow up. The child is a big boy or a big girl. You need to get over it. The child learns that, oh, so if I feel sad, my feelings to my parents are a problem. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna shut them down. I'm not gonna wanna feel anything because it becomes too painful. And that child grows up being a robot who doesn't feel anything because they didn't learn any kind of feelings from the parents, right? So they grow up with that. They don't have empathy. They don't feel anything. And they go and do all these shenanigans because if you're going to go and cheat on somebody, you think back to say, how would my other partner feel? How would my spouse feel? They don't feel nothing. They don't care, right? So it starts way back there. And there's other families who don't want to talk about things. Our uh, grandfather or great grandfather was some kind of a cheater or had 15 wives or whatever, right? Now, nothing was done about it. Nobody was talking about it. And it comes down now to the children of the grandfather or great grandfather who was a serial cheater. It comes down. And then nothing was done about it. No one talks about it. They very secretive about this. Everything is shoved under the carpet. There's drama and this, and nobody's talking. It comes down to the children, and then it goes down to the grandkids. The generational trauma, right? But anyway, let's just listen. Sit down with the children and talk and tell them the truth. Like in our family, this was happening, this was, but that is not going to happen with me. I'm going to stop it right here. The next generation is not going to suffer all these shenanigans and all the drama in our family, right? So, but we've got Dr. Ramani to hear what she says about people who are toxic and who are cheating. Thank you, Dr. Ramani, for your videos. Let's hear what she says.
It's an entirely different game. Narcissists feel entitled to having an affair and having sex with other people. They are grandiose. They're arrogant enough to believe they won't be caught. They lack empathy for their spouse, so they don't even think about how these choices would hurt them.
Why do narcissists cheat? Well, because many times in an intimate relationship, their existing supply gets stale and they want to mix it up. The interesting thing is they often want to keep the person they're in a relationship with because they're getting one set of needs met there. And then they want something else. They want novelty, they want excitement, whatever it may be, and they'll start doing that. And it also becomes a new source of narcissistic supply for them and excitement and all the things that a narcissist, who is a real reward seeker, is seeking. They will come up with all kinds of complex rationalizations for their infidelity. We're not having as much sex as we once did. You don't pay as much attention to me. Sometimes I don't even try to do that. In the most extreme examples, when we're talking about someone who's more malignantly and severely narcissistic, they'll often sometimes believe it's their right. Like, listen, I make all the money. You know what? I just need this. It doesn't affect you. I come back, I provide. And they'll really provide it, and they'll say that without any sense of guile on their face. They'll actually think it's okay and expect you to think it's okay. Infidelity is a very complicated issue in anyone who works in the relationship space. And I'm really talking about infidelity as a dynamic of narcissism right now, not about infidelity in general. When we view it as a narcissistic dynamic, so many people get devastated because, as a rule, narcissistic relationships leave people feeling like they're already sideways. People in narcissistic relationships always feel like they're not enough, that they need to be doing something more, that the attention of their partner is slipping. You always feel like you're about to be discarded, because that's often what narcissists do. They discard old supply in favor of new supply. So you're always a little bit off balance. And even when you feel like you're getting it all right, the narcissist still may cheat on you. A really tricky issue is that sometimes people will feel like, gosh, our relationship's going really well. Then they come to find out that the narcissist is cheating. In some ways, that cheating, because that narcissist is getting this whole new source of supply, might actually make your grumpy narcissist into someone a bit more cheerful and lead you to believe that your relationship is going better. So it can feel very devastating to say, just when I think things were going better, I come to find out that there was actually another relationship on the side. Narcissistic patterns can get into all kinds of complex cheating kinds of arrangements, not only potentially having a mistress outside of a marriage, but even cheating on the mistress with somebody else. Because the need for narcissistic supply, in some ways, once they start getting some, they want more and more and more. Sex is a great place to get it. It can be for a narcissist a place of power, a place of domination, a space of secrecy, a place of validation seeking. So you get a lot of needs met. And when you're cheating, it also adds in that sort of sense of excitement, or can be perhaps even getting away with something while still being able to put the image out to the world of being a family person and having a life that looks a very specific kind of way. One might wonder, does this pattern have anything to do with other relationships in my life? It might. If you had a narcissistic parent, it's quite conceivable that there might have been infidelity in your family of origin, which may have really destabilized things in your family. it's a painful pattern to have a breach of trust in other kinds of relationships, but infidelity is a very specific kind of a pattern where there is a presumption of sexual monogamy or relationship commitment, and that contract, as it were, that promise gets broken. People who have been cheated on report all kinds of psychological issues in the fallout: a sense of betrayal, a sense of shame, depression, anxiety, sleeplessness, helplessness, hopelessness. It really takes a toll on the person who's cheated on. So, at the very core of it, in many ways, infidelity really speaks to a grandiosity that somehow you're clever enough to get away with this. And that's probably why we often do see infidelity in narcissistic relationships. They think they think they deserve it, they think they can get away with it, and they don't really stop to think about how it's affecting the other person.
Question for you. Do all narcissists cheat? Drop it in the comments. Tell me what you think. Do you think they all cheat or not? Did the narcissistic person in your life, the relationship you were in, did that happen? All right? And if you're new to this channel, I am Dr. Ramani, and this channel is a deep dive into all things related to narcissism and narcissistic relationships, to ask and grapple with questions like this. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe and join this community of people who are learning so much about narcissism every day. And if you want to be told each time we have a new video, just hit that notification bell. But let's go back to the pressing question: do all narcissists cheat? So personally, when I do my little browsing on the internet, I am struck by how much online content on narcissism and narcissistic relationships are focused on cheating. So obviously that's where this question came from. Every other blog, I was like, cheat, cheat, cheat. But do they all cheat? No. And that's where this all gets confusing. So let's break this down. Not all cheaters are narcissistic. Not all narcissists cheat. So let's start with the cheating narcissists first and get them out of the way, shall we? Let's think about what infidelity or cheating or betrayal in a relationship are about. It reflects what? A lack of empathy, entitlement, grandiosity, validation seeking, superficiality, impulsivity, arrogance, egocentricity, most of the ugly high points of narcissism. Someone who cheats is in no way, shape, or form taking into account the feelings of the other person, the person they're cheating on. When I work with cheaters in therapy, my question to them is, did you think about how your behavior would affect the person you are cheating on? Did you see your partner's face in your mind when you were texting or touching or having sex with the person you were cheating with? And in most cases, the answer at the time they were doing those things, it was no. To me, that reflects a lack of empathy and a lack of self-reflective capacity. If you don't agree with it, drop it in the comments, but that's how I see it. In this online age we live in, cheating has become way too easy. Instagram DMs, dating sites, flirty emails, it's too easy. Narcissistic folks are impulsive, so anything that gives them a quick reward, drugs, spending money, gambling, and being shady online, their impulsivity means that they send the DM to the attractive person and they just don't think. Narcissists are also expert rationalizers, so they will say stupid things like, oh, sending a DM or a dick pic isn't cheating. When you're the one being cheated on, discussions around semantics and behavioral specificity are not particularly appealing. My personal bias is that shady behavior online is cheating because it is drawing the emotional juice out of the primary relationship. And that's my position. But this combination of ease, quick validation, entitlement, and impulsivity that we see in the narcissist, bam, that online stuff and that shady stuff, that's the narcissist mothership. Now, cheating also reflects the narcissist's use of relationships as a place to regulate and as places of domination. They use relationships to get a sense of power and pleasure, which they feel entitled to, and so having even more relationships added on are a way to do that. I remember once hearing the story of a narcissistic guy who had horribly emotionally abused his wife. He cheated on her with a long-term mistress, and then cheated on the mistress with some quick and dirty one-night stand type things. He was so entitled and just so in love with his power at the time. And he was just mainlining the validation he was getting from these women. His career was going really well. He had tons of money. So it was as though he just couldn't get enough of the validation and power. But this story actually has a happy ending. This guy ended up shitting where he eats, and he ended up having a liaison with somebody at work. He got fired. He lost lots of money that he would have originally gotten because of a morality clause in his contract. He ended up in a crappy living situation, and he would still talk about his glory days like a sad drunk in a corner bar. And the ringer was that his new girlfriend that he got after his fall from glory and living in his new seedy apartment, she cheated on him. So there is justice, folks, just not in every story, but that was one of the justicey ones. Now, the need for validation that narcissists need, as well as their need for novelty, that also means that cheating is very much their ground game. The narcissism infidelity connection has been pretty well documented by relationship researchers for a while. Grandiose narcissists tend to be the worst cheaters, but malignant narcissists can be pretty bad too because they have so little empathy, relatively little remorse, and they're willing to use people for anything. It's a little bit more rare that the vulnerable narcissists cheat, and that's they were lucky that they even got out of the house long enough to find you. But they need validation as much as other folks do, so they may feel that if the opportunity came up, that they have the right to cheat because life has been so unfair to them, or some other twisted, victimized justification. But it is more rare. So, for those of you who have been cheated on by narcissists, you may not be surprised by that at all that they did it to you, because for some of you, you may come to find out that your own relationship with them may have started in a sort of blurry space. Narcissistic folks tend to be serial cheaters, and after they are caught, may beg for forgiveness, you forgive them, then they cheat again. They justify, rationalize, and will often blame their partners, you, by saying things like, oh, you weren't around enough, you stopped having sex with me as much, you were too busy. That whole gambit of blaming the person they hurt and cheating on them. So when a narcissist cheats on you, the puzzle pieces fit, right? You get it. You read the thousands of blogs and watch the thousands of videos on cheating narcissists, and you find that a whole community has been through a narcissistic cheat experience, and then that's that. But that goes to the original premise of what this video is about. They don't all cheat. What's that about? The self-righteous ones, self-righteous narcissists, it's a long shot that they would cheat. They get their supply and their validation from being oh so morally upright and better than the rest of us. Now, if they are too morally upright, sometimes you may see a reaction formation kind of thing, like when the Rolls-Royce preachers out there who claim to have a direct line to God are found with their parishioners or other admirers in a hotel room. But by and large, the self-righteous folks will judge infidelity and cheating behavior, and they're content to get their validation by staying on their moral high ground and judge those who are unfaithful. The neglectful narcissist may not cheat either because relationships are not particularly interesting for them and they may not care that much about sex or companionship. But not all narcissistic folks cheat. It may be that their validation comes from different places. Maybe some narcissists who are more introverted may be less likely to do that, that they may not care as much about sex or intimacy. They may not want to spend the time with someone else because they get their attention in other ways, for example, through their work or a hobby.
Wow, quite informative. So just please note that Dr. Ramani's video is quite long. So I've placed the whole video on the description below for anyone who wants to watch um, the whole thing. But yeah, let's go on and raise our kids and just give them pure love, just unconditional love. That's what they need so that they grow up to be adults who are responsible and who are quite honest and have empathy and understanding of other people's feelings. But thank you for watching my video. Please like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, let's learn together. Till we meet again, much love. Bye.